Last night actually didn't play very good in the first period, but they came back very nicely in the second, scored some goals, took advantage of some opportunities, and did a good job.
Yeah, and, one of the things, they got some scoring from some unlikely guys last night. We saw Umberger score for the first time in a year.
First star. You figure if you score every year.
Who was the 3-star selection? Who made him?
Keith Jones.
Oh, God.
Keith Jones.
That's your son, right?
I thought Steve Mason deserved a star, but you know what?
Yeah, 40 out of 41 staves. That's not a.
Secretly, like a very discreet 41 shots on net. So, interestingly enough, he did not get a star. Send all your cards and letters to Keith Jones.
I'm shocked. Right? I am shocked. I know that you called him and said, how did Mason not get a star?
What are you doing?
Well, yeah, and, Umberger, and they made a couple changes. Saw Wheel last night. We talked about Wheel the last time you were on. He got a chance to get out there, and, they made a couple of little tweaks,
I thought Michael, he played pretty good, and I thought Umberger playing on that line with Wheel and who was on the other line? Was Umberger, Wheel?
Raffle, I think.
Yeah, Raffle.
No, Raffle was up with Shen and Cousins. I'm going blank.
Wasn't
here.
Lawton out?
Yeah.
He told me Raffle.
I'm looking at it right here. This is February 11th.
I only do this for a living.
Hey, don't ask me.
Go ahead.
According to this, could be wrong. It was Raffle, Wheel, and Umberger, Vandevelde, Belmar, and White.
Right.
Gagne, Cousins, and Shen.
And
then Voracek.
Gagne.
That's
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Sam Gagne. He's
sit
in and out of the
immobile.
lineup. You just don't like. Was he in last night? Yeah,
He was in.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's who we were forgetting.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks for him. That's my information boat right there, and he gives me Raffle.
I was right. Raffle was on the line with Wheel and Umberger.
Yeah, but he had to look it up.
True.
So the hit, everybody's talking about the hit. He has no problem with the hit. The NHL's not looking at it, so I guess that gives you your answer, huh?
It's fascinating to me how the game has changed where all of a sudden a kid playing in his third game in the National Hockey League skates through the neutral zone with his head down. He gets hit by Gudas. They give him a 5-minute charging penalty. Where are all these 5-minute majors coming from now? Because it's a hit and the guy went down and he got up and he didn't know where he was. When you're 5 years old, you learn. When you go through any area with your head down, somebody's going to take it off for you. So I had no problem with it. I actually kind of found it a little bit humorous because all the players were tapping him on the back and congratulating Goody because you'd have to know Goody that he was born 30 years too late.
Yeah.
30 years too late.
That's what you said, PT.
Yeah.
Because I told him.
Yeah, he's absolutely right.
So you're feeding him the lines, and now he's using them on me.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I see how this works.
And you know what? I'll start, I'll listen.
What are you trying his jokes out on you, and then you try him out, work them out on me?
They're not jokes. This is good hockey knowledge.
Well, you want to take it that way.
Well, we've got, 2 months left, and they've all said that this month was going to be the month. This was the make or break month. So we're halfway through. What are we thinking?
Well, I'm thinking that they kind of let it go away a little bit. Is it impossible still? They got to win. They got to win 20 games. That's what they got to win. They got to get the 93. How many points we got? You got to get the 93 points, 94 points. So, is that possible? Anything's possible.
They have 57 right now for those of you keeping score at home.
The bottom line is that
they were
going really good. Then they had the Toronto Maple Leafs at home on a Tuesday night, and they got beat in the last minute, and they blew a tire right there. And as a result, they've never looked up since.
Well, what were we talking about last night? We were talking that the expectations were maybe a playoff team, maybe not. But if you look back to last year, Coatsy, if they just would have beaten some of the teams that were rotten, they would have been a playoff team. They were beating the good teams down the stretch. They were losing to the rotten teams.
There wasn't much difference this year, Michael, because last night was the first time that the Flyers had beaten Buffalo. Out of the 3 games last night, so they lost to Buffalo twice. They got beat by the Leafs in our own building 2 weeks ago. Those games, if you had that 2 points from the Leafs that night, or that 2 points that you had in the last minute against the New York Rangers, then you're back into that mathematical possibility. But it's hard to win that many games like that now and chase. To be able to chase people down, it's hard.
But then the games in hand, I mean, that was something that everybody kept saying, oh, there's games in hand. Well, that's running out as well, and they've got a stretch coming up here. It's Jersey at home tomorrow, Rangers at the Rangers on Sunday night. That one's on NBCSN, and then Devils on Tuesday. So Devils, Rangers, Devils,
Yeah, but it doesn't get any better because then you go to Montreal, then you go to Toronto.
Right.
So you're 5 games on the road, and then you come back with 6 straight games at home.
Okay.
Of which you've got Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton.
Yeah, Columbus is in
Columbus, Arizona.
there. Yeah.
It's nice to say, yeah, we're going to win all the home games and go down them, but not necessarily.
Hey, last time we had John, I asked you if you had to pick a goalie. You said Neuvert. Now, he hasn't played since that day, I don't think.
No, he got hurt.
Yeah, he's been hurt.
First practice
but
back.
has Mason grabbed it since since Neuvert's been out?
He did what he had to do. He changed my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played really well. He's come up with a big save. He's not letting in that clunker. He had one clunker the other night. But, you're going to get those. But I think he's in the time period he's had since the All-Star break, I think he's played very well.
What with Steve Mason and when he plays the puck with his stick, like when he gets out of the net, that always to me seems to be an adventure. Is he trying to channel his inner Hextall and think that he's a great stick handler, or am I seeing something and making something up where it isn't?
I'm a believer that if you're a goalkeeper and you struggle with that aspect of the game,
right,
and anybody from the other team is inside the top of the circles,
okay,
stay in your net.
Yeah,
because the game they're moving too quickly. And that's just too. So for Mace, I think he struggles with that.
Right, and then that Led Zeppelin song is "Communication Breakdown," right?
Yeah,
so,
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
I don't know those songs.
Well, but yeah, sure you do.
No, I don't.
What do you know? Bruce Springsteen? You know any
Springsteen
Springsteen songs? No.
What kind of music are you listening to?
You
make that drive every day. I mean, for the most part, what are you listening to? Me?
I listen to you guys in the afternoon.
Well, we appreciate that.
But I don't.
Comedy, the comedy.
I listen to a lot of comedy. I listen to
I
like Motown.
Right.
I'd like to sit in one of those rides with the two of you.
You're welcome at any time.
It's a great plane. It's really it's spacious.
Flight,
yeah.
You can take that flight anytime.
There's food and beverage service.
This the 29th is what the deadline's coming up. The 28th, 29th, 29th. The extra
Jimmy
day.
Watson goes into the Flyers Hall of Fame.
How about that? He was a nice guy. We had him up when one of the playoff games up there. And,
that was the highlight of the Anaheim game that I went to the other night, was seeing the 5 numbers that were retired, those guys on the ice. Of course it was Barry Ashby's widow, but to see those 5 legends, Clarkie looked like he was shuffled a little bit. I thought, oh, Jesus, is he hurt? And then I remembered, well, you just played in Reading.
They all played the hockey game.
Yeah. So
they got to start looking at their birth certificates.
Who else is playing in that game?
Who else played?
Oh, they played. Yeah, it was
the alumni game.
28 guys. 28, 14 on each team.
Right.
Briere, Tiemann.
Briere probably can still play.
Briere lit it up. He made Robert Ashe look pretty bad. I'm not afraid to say that.
Billy Barber, Bobby Clark, Oris Kinderchuk, Bob Kelly, Joe Watson, Jim Watson, Don Selesky.
Mm-hmm. Those are great names.
Yeah.
Frank Baith.
I know Todd, the Fridge played.
Terry Kartner, Todd Fedor.
Yeah.
The fact that you're rolling these off is great.
Why is
you
that?
couldn't remember who was on the line last night, but all 28 guys who played in this alumni game.
Sometimes it's things that are right in front of you.
Yeah, I know.
And when you get to my age, you have senior moments.
No,
what did you get for Lynn? Well, you can't give it away, but I mean, did you get her something yet?
I haven't thought about it.
That's why he's here.
That's why
he didn't come
here.
to see you or me.
Right.
He came. So, Coatsy, look, I was telling you during the break. You ever have dinner with this guy down here?
No, I've had the odd.
You go out of the area, it's all right. Last night we're out to dinner, and I can't get the fork in the mouth. I mean, this guy, every person, 4 different waiters in the restaurant stopped over to the table.
2 waiters and a waitress. Yeah, that was very nice.
Let me explain something to you, Michael. You don't know this about him, but he's a marketing type of genius. What he did is he went into that restaurant prior. $5 a
Here's
piece.
5. Here's 5.
And then they come over and makes him look good in your eyes.
Now, look, I'm not like a social butterfly by any stretch. When I'm done, I'm done, okay? That's like I'm done. You're probably similar. You seem like that kind of guy, right?
When it's done, time to go, it's time to go. The only problem is I have a hard time with that time to go thing.
Well, all of us have that problem.
Yes.
Although there's been times when I've tried to make it with him at 4:30 a.m. and I'm snoozing. He wants to go till 6:30 a.m.
Well,
4 is like my limit. If I'm really up and not, no, my limit.
I didn't get up until noon. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You got up at 6 o'clock this morning. You got up at 8 o'clock this morning.
7:15, I was up.
I'm assuming. He's shaking his head.
6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't even know they had one of those.
Ooh.
What time did you get up this morning?
I got up at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a normal person's time. if you're going to bed at 8 o'clock, that's what he's alluding to.
There's nothing normal about me, so let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we said before the break, 50 years. The birthday was the other day of the organization. There was a big hoopla. You've been around since what, 73?
73 I came here to training camp.
All right. So
but I got traded in 76, came back in 1980, and I've been here since 80 as a broadcaster.
So that's a long time.
35 years as a broadcaster.
That's unbelievable.
I'm going to clap for that. 35 years I've been watching this and listening to this man.
Yeah. Well, has it? The organization, has that changed? It seems like, people who work there or have been there forever, yourself included. What around the organization has changed?
Well, I mean, when you think about it, back in 1973 when I first got here, there was one PR guy, Joe Cadillac.
Yep.
There was 2 marketing ladies or PR ladies. There was 2 accountants, 1 receptionist, a general manager. Now you've got general manager, 2 assistant general managers. You got 20 marketing people. You had 1 ticket person back in those days.
Cecilia?
Yeah. So everything is tenfold now in the number of people you have in your organization. You take a media guide back in those days, and it might have the staff on 3 pages. Now it's on 10 pages.
Is it like that, though, for all the teams in the league, or are the Flyers an exceptional organization?
No, I think everything is the same now.
Yeah.
You have to. Every team.
Because the media is not like that for all these teams.
No.
Not like it is in Philly, right?
No, but absolutely not.
No.
Right.
I mean,
some
media-
teams don't even travel anymore.
Right,
No,
but
Toronto-
Toronto's worse and Montreal's
Toronto,
worse.
Montreal, Detroit, Chicago, obviously New York are very much like Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other places you go that all of a sudden you've gone from 10 reporters to, well, hi, Bob.
Yeah, Phoenix. I
Please
mean,
stand
I
over
don't
here,
think
yeah.
Phoenix is sending anybody
Yeah.
anymore.
But organizations,
Yeah.
to be competitive and keeping the people, you're in the hunt, you've got to have that number of people to work.
Some of the stuff with that 50-year anniversary, though, that I thought, I think it was Tim Panaccio that wrote a piece about who had to run the money up in time and were they going to get the check in time, and that when it was announced that Philadelphia had won a franchise or was going to be awarded a franchise, it didn't even make the sports section or it didn't make the front page of the sports section of the Inquirer. You know,
it's when you go through history of hockey in Philadelphia, you
Right.
know the Flyers were in not the Flyers, but the Philadelphia Quakers were in the National Hockey League in 1936.
Nope, didn't know that. Did
You were supposed to tell me that ahead of time.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I could
1936.
See how that works?
They didn't last very long, but yeah, they were in the National Hockey League
Huh.
before that.
Did not know that.
And then the Philadelphia Ramblers played in the old arena in 1956. So hockey's been around a long time before Philadelphia came in. But at that time in the National Hockey League, that was called the Great Expansion.
Right, by Clarence Campbell.
They doubled the league in 1 year. It was the most fascinating thing. They went out west. They got Oakland. They got L.A. They got Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Minnesota, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
That was the original.
Trying to think of Oakland was the Golden Seals?
Yes.
Okay.
California Golden Seals, white skates.
I like it.
They didn't last.
Right.
But that was the great expansion. They took a heck of a chance, and that's really what catapulted hockey for the National Hockey League in the United States. Was
Yeah.
that expansion.
Well, and in Philly, as he mentioned, when he got here, it wasn't embraced right off the bat, but the team won pretty quickly, so that helped. Because if the team didn't win at that early stage, are the Flyers as we know today
Well,
in
you
terms of
can't-
the passion that this fan base has is based a lot on those early teams.
The passion was built on the Broad Street Bullies.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The brand of the team is
Still.
the Broad Street Bullies.
Yeah.
Obviously, the referees don't know that brand is not true anymore because they still think that we play that type of hockey.
Gudis is the Broad Street Bullies.
Right.
Well, if we're talking organizations, Coatsy, I looked at the schedule coming up on March 15th and March 16th. They have back-to-backs. The Flyers are home with Detroit, and then they play Chicago, right? So that's 2 original 6 teams,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. I think of Chicago, especially because I have some friends that are from there, as that team that the Flyers would like to be like, in the hunt every year, playing for Stanley Cups every year.
They were that team for a little while,
well,
right?
but how far away are the Flyers from being,
Right on the edge.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
on the edge. And, we talk about Chicago and Detroit being really good now. Well, remember the years that they weren't very good.
right, pre-Iserman for
And
Detroit?
Chicago wasn't too long ago where they were the
Chicago-
worst team in the league.
Well, think back. You got your Magic Genie box there. Take a look. Take a look and look up the last time the first time the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup since they won it before in 1960. It was a long time.
Yeah.
And the Detroit Red Wings were the same way.
Well, And one thing, too, with the Red Wings, they get you get one player sometimes that changes the fortune. And we saw a couple teams last year playing to get one player.
That's all they're doing.
Well, that's going on the team that uses your building as well. It's happening more and more in sports.
That one's so far off the wall what they're doing here with that. But that'd be another story for another day.
Yeah, whole other segment.
When you take a look at, like last night, the Buffalo Sabres, they had Sam Reinhart. He was the number 2 pick 2 years ago overall. And then the Jack Eichel, the number 2 pick last year overall.
Right.
So they get them because Buffalo had been lousy. Chicago, Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane. How did they get those? Because Chicago had been lousy.
Yeah.
So when you look back at it, everything happens for a reason. And
for a while there, I think Hextall, what he's really done, I don't know whose ear he got into, but the patience has been unbelievable. That's been a big change for this organization.
There's an answer for that. He got Mr. Snyder to go with him. And I think it was probably part of the deal when he came in. He said, I'm not coming in to just trade and to do something every year. We've got to build.
And I was kind of, going through that the 29th, with this new philosophy, I would assume, like, some people might say, I don't even want them to make a move.
At the trading deadline.
I don't think that'd be that far off. I mean, I would think that you'd want to be – you're going to know in a week, according to where you're mathematically, whether you're in the hunt, whether you feel you've got a chance, because there is so much money involved, you might want to go after it. But the other hand, is it a good time to unload some contracts, like a Mark Streit? Could you get something for Mark Streit?
And these are the deals he seems like he's done exceptional at.
That's right. Trying
to find somebody that is willing to kind of, all right, we want to win now, we'll take your guy.
Well, he's really, really good. And he'd be a good card player because you don't know what he's going to do.
And frustrating at the same time.
Yeah, because you want to know more.
But some of these young guys, you're like, hey, you see Ghost come up. I mean, he's on a historic pace right now. A couple of those other young guys, maybe they came up, they'd have a shot to put on a show.
Look, with injury and for lack of good play, you see Nick Cousins, who all of a sudden had 2 points last night, has 3 points since he came up. We've had an opportunity to get Gostisbehere, who now all of a sudden, with all these lasting points and 10 points in the last games, ties a Flyers record with Michael Renberg. Now they're talking about him. He's not going to be the Calder Trophy winner, but he's in the hunt. He's in the thought process because he leads all defensemen, and he wouldn't be here hadn't been for injury.
That was a pretty neat graphic last night. They showed Flockhart was on there. Proppy had his hair parted right in the middle from his rookie year. You're alluding to the rookie point streak, right, that Ghost has had.
Michael Renberg got.
Yeah.
All right. So,
by the way, the Genie Box, the Blackhawks won the Cup in 60-61, and then didn't win it again. Well, we know when they won it again.
That's what I'm asking.
The least 2009-10.
That's right.
The
year they beat
the least dramatic goal, game-winning goal ever that nobody knew went in.
But I wanted you to give the dates and tell me how many years. That's 39 years.
Okay.
So everybody talks about the Flyers.
Right.
I mean, St. Louis came in the same year as the Flyers.
So what's 39 years from 74-75?
Take a look at your Genie box.
I can't add either.
All right. Math has ended this segment.
Yeah.